founder of Surrealism, André Breton, wrote in the Manifesto of Surrealism of 1924, "We are still living under the reign of logic, under the pretense of civilization and progress. We have managed to banish from the mind everything that may rightly or wrongly be termed superstition or fancy. Forbidden is any kind of search for truth which is not in conformance with accepted practices. It was, apparently by pure chance, that a part of our mental world which we pretended not to be concerned with any longer, and in my opinion by far the most important part, has been brought back to light. For this we must give thanks to the discoveries of Sigmund Freud. Freud very rightly brought his critical faculties to bear upon dream. It is, in fact, inadmissible that this considerable portion of psychic activity has still today been so grossly neglected. I believe in the future resolution of these two states, dream and reality, which are seemingly so contradictory, into a kind of absolute reality, a surreality, if one may so speak. It is in quest of this surreality that I am going, certain not to find it, but too unmindful of my death not to calculate to some slight degree the joys of its possession." The early discourse of Surrealism had a clear, semi-religious character developed directly from Freud's French translations, firmly placing its motivations in the spiritual domain rather than that of science. Many artists in the movement, such as Masson, Miro, and Dali, experimented with trance states and meditative practices to connect the microcosmic artist with the macrocosmic universe, a process which later became known as automatism. In 1919, Breton and Philippe Soupal published the first automatic book, The Magnetic Fields, and it was perhaps Breton's most significant treatise outlining the technique. In the second Manifesto of Surrealism, published in 1929, Breton called for the occultation of Surrealism. While the movement had already adopted art as a pathway to unconscious truth, it wasn't until the Second World War that Breton became serious in his efforts to understand the mysteries of the occult, in part due to the strides already made in the circle by the painters. Breton wrote, "I have often reflected on the fact that the average man in France, for example, derived less and less support from secular beliefs and institutions during the last 20 years. No further point can be reached in the process which has separated the symbol from the thing for which it stands." To promulgate this new occult focus and unveil the new myth, Breton staged an exhibition of over 87 works from 24 countries. Held in Paris, Le Surrealisme on 1947 was curated with Marcel Duchamp with the aim of delivering a new aeon of creative thought independent of established ways of seeing, and in direct opposition to the rationalism and materialism that spawned the war. Since the 1930s, Breton was obsessed with myth and the process of myth creation as part of collective and individual subjectivity, and this exhibition was to be an initiation into Breton's new myth. To give the public the opportunity to learn this myth, the show was planned and designed as a sequence of initiatory stages, leading the viewer toward a personal revelation of truth. Breton emphasized the spirit of the exhibition, namely the community of surrealism in the new myth, and the initiation as the central tool of realization. While largely considered an atheist due to his disdain for organized religion, Breton's perception of spirituality existed only within the individual psyche, and the mystic model of initiation was the perfect conduit to transform society. The exhibition met with a mixed critical response and a generally confused public. Although superior in concept and execution to Breton's groundbreaking exhibition of 1938, this installment failed to live up to its promise to reinvigorate the Surrealist movement in France. According to Breton's biographer, the exhibition of 1947 was criticized for being too exclusive, highlighting the fact that post-war Surrealism had become an inner esoteric circle. Duchamp's biographer described the exhibition as a last hurrah for a movement which had paved the way for more current intellectual ideas such as existentialism and abstract expressionism. The exhibition, which should have been a rebirth for Surrealism, was instead the intellectual downfall of the movement and its founder. The true legacy, however, lies in its final statement of the true aim of Surrealism, which is individual initiation, and the new myth which has remained with the movement until this day. Despite the various sojourns of its individual members and the emergence of disaffected copyists in the tradition, there are those who continued the philosophy expounded by the 1947 landmark showing.